Today on Independent Wrestling Profiles, we're talking with Holden Albright. Let's start your journey with when you first discovered professional wrestling.
So I first discovered professional wrestling. I think it was just on when I was a kid. My dad definitely watched it before me. And I'm born in late 92 and I remember watching the Attitude Era. So I'm 5 in early 96. So no math, early 98. Yeah, because I would turn 5 at the end of 97. Yeah, but I remember watching it and such. And so it was definitely on. Uh, Weird story is when Owen Hart at Over the Edge happened. I remember I was at a baby shower or a wedding shower or something and hearing Owen Hart died. But I was too young to be an Owen Hart guy because he died when I was 6. So but I remember the moment of hearing, oh my god, Owen Hart died at the pay-per-view that's going on right now. But I was a Stone Cold guy. I love the Attitude Era, and I don't it was the only thing. Actually, that's a lie. So in kindergarten, we were given these little gingerbread men, and we were told put your dream job on it. And it set the tone for the rest of my life that I don't singularly focus, which is why I'm successful enough, but not just successful in one thing. That little gingerbread man had a policeman hat, a firefighter jacket on, a microphone for I think it would be stand-up comedy because that's the other thing I loved as a child, a guitar for country music, and then knee pads and boots for a wrestler. So I was going to be an entertainer and some sort of authority figure. But I look at that and I go why didn't my parents because everyone, it was around this gymnasium, all these little gingerbread men, and they were just one thing, and then you have this no one. I don't know if I'm thankful that I was a kid in the 90s versus a kid now, because I would be diagnosed with everything and it may have helped my life. But definitely back then it was just he's a weird one. And I also, you would think I had a bunch of energy, but I always remember I kept falling asleep in spaghetti when I was in kindergarten. And it was in daycare, not even kindergarten, daycare, because it was a full day kind of thing. But yeah, I remember wrestling was always something there, and it was something I knew I always wanted to do eventually. When I was in grade 7 or 8, Breakfast Television, City TV, and the GTA did a segment at a wrestling school in Brampton, which is where I live, called Ringmasters. I went there for a couple days. My parents didn't enroll me in the program, and then fast forward to late 2013, I'm supposed to go on a trip with some people. It falls through. I have some money. And I go, well, I might as well go to Squared Circle Training and learn how to wrestle.
Okay, so this started at clearly a young age. If you're making this gingerbread man as a 5-6-year-old or whatever the case may be, was there no stigma around the house of exposing a 5-year-old to the Attitude Era and everything that conveyed? Because we're talking a lot more violence, a lot more vulgarity, a lot more sexuality, and that was just fine.
Okay, you might have to censor out the verbiage of this.
Okay.
But my two not fondest memories, but two of the tapes I had for pay-per-views as a kid. There is a Fully Loaded, I want to say 98. And the graphic is Triple H on the corner of the post doing the suck it sign over his crotch, and the corner is red. And I didn't find out till 10 years late, 10 years ago. In my early 20s, late teens, that was supposed to simulate that was his dick. That was just red. And now that I'm even thinking, because back then I was oh, did you know this is what was supposed to say? And now I'm thinking, I was I think he got a venereal disease. Brother's got to go to the hospital. But so I remember I had Fully Loaded 98 on tape, but I also had, I think it's King of the Ring 98 that it might have happened on it. But everyone talks about Mankind and The Undertaker. I remember the opening match being Tiger Jeet Singh and Al Snow or something, and you have before Too Cool was Too Cool, I think they were Too Sweet, and they were the cruiserweight iteration before they were the Grandmaster Sexy and Sky Too Hottie. But also you had a bikini contest where Sable, and I talked to my buddy about this a few months ago. Sable's bikini top was just handprints over her boobs. And I thought like it was some sort of like pasty or something. And I'm like four or five. So I didn't know what it was. But we looked at it and like it was some sort of pasty, but I thought they were legit handprints. And then you go into the Attitude Era. Like the interesting part, like I'm white trash enough. Like I don't think anyone in my family has married their cousins, but I avoid dating white people because I don't know who I'm related to. So I wasn't allowed to watch South Park, but I'm watching Stephanie and Stone Cold be hung out and crucified on the Undertaker's T symbol. And like I also don't know if I ever believed wrestling was real because it's just on television. I'm watching it between Rocket Power and Digimon. And once again, Stone Cold's getting embalmed by Paul Heyman. Like I think if I thought this was real, I would be insane. But like I wasn't allowed to watch South Park. I was allowed to watch the Attitude Era. I watched a lot of Jerry Springer, but I think that's more of like these are people that we might be related to. So like you gotta learn your history kind of stuff.
For the record, I always thought it was pasties with paint over top of them, but I
Oh,
could be wrong.
plot
I
twist.
don't actually know.
If you listen or watch this, comment wherever or tag us at Holden Pro. What do you think? What's your theory for it?
So we did fast forward a little bit to, when you did this bit of training that you had as an opportunity. I believe you said 7th grade. And you did mention how you were kind of pulled in many directions as displayed by that gingerbread man. Was that conviction to be a wrestler always there, or did it wane? Was there any moments where you were kind of hesitant or second guessing that pursuit or interest?
So like I don't relate to anyone that goes to wrestling training, and like I don't think it's so much anymore that people understand that there's like the independents and then WWE and like you have NXT and the Performance Center and you have all this, but like I loved wrestling so much that like I'm watching shoot interviews on YouTube in like 10 parts in 2008, which no one talks enough about like that early 5-6 years of YouTube where you would watch a movie or a TV show in like 10 parts because there was a 10-minute timeline. Like I watched all the wrestling pay-per-views like between '08 to 2010 on WWE on YouTube the next morning in 13 parts. Like no one talks enough about that. So I want more people to talk about the parts on YouTube. But like so I would always hear about how especially like ROH did a lot of straight shoot interview series with like their town of like Samoa Joe, CM Punk. So like I knew that there was a thing. I got exposed to the wrestling school when I was in 7th grade. And I just knew like eventually I'll go there. But it was also I never, and fast forward to when I actually start training, I never actually thought I could, and that goes into like self-worth and other mental illnesses. But I never thought I could be in the WWE. So I just wanted to like learn how to wrestle and have a match. So I'm like, well, eventually I'll go there. And yeah, like I'm looking back, I'm like, why did I? It's like, yeah, well, I was 20, 21-ish, whatever that is around that time. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't wait like too long. I wasn't an adult yet.
So if you did actually pursue it, despite having that mentality and that self-doubt and that idea that it's only for WWE, what was the trigger event? What was it that happened for you that you were like, you know what? No, this is something that I can pursue because there are other avenues. It's not just WWE or bust.
Well, I get like not really focused, but like if I'm in a arena, because like it's real weird. Like I had to realize later on in life that like if I like something, I'll show up early, I'll stay late, I'll do whatever you need. If I don't like something, brother, like I'm late. Like the term right now is quiet quitting. I've loudly quiet quit at my work for the last 4 months. Like it's just so like I can't connect the dots immediately, but it was like I loved working at the movie theater at the time, but I loved going out with the movie theater people to the bar and the clubs afterwards. And like this is what I mean of like I can't say like I loved learning. I love learning. I dropped out of high school though. So like I don't love it. That I was gonna go to school for film and television, but I was going to go in through mature student status. And it just came to like, okay, I'm going to go train eventually. I'll learn how to do this. And then afterwards of like, because it's weird. I need it literally in the last like 6 weeks. I had to come to the terms that I assumed everyone was working hard. Everyone loved doing this. They were there. And then I'm like, oh no. The reason I got to where I was is because not everyone was working hard. Because not everyone was going to 5 shows a weekend when they're in training. They're not going to shows they're not booked on when they're starting to wrestle. They're not setting up and tearing down. And like I just didn't notice that. So then when you do all that stuff and you especially do it without the intention of I scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of thing, like whenever a lot of people will complain. And it's so weird. I took a year and a half off wrestling between the pandemic and the last 15ish months. Like I'm talking to these people in wrestling and like I'm like, why is no one doing a schoolboy? Why is there a victory roll in every match though? Like it's so bizarre to me. Of like I just checked out for a minute, and especially the last couple months, I've been very focused on like not paying attention to the drama or any of like the little bullshit. But what happened was, I just realized like if like for paying your dues, I think that if you're not booked on a show, setting up and tearing down the ring is your way of paying for the ticket. You're there, you're going to watch the show, you're going to network, you're going to prove that you're not an idiot or a dick. But if you don't want to do that, pay for the ticket. And if you don't want to do either of those, stay home. Like no one's forcing you to do this. And it's not paying your dues. It's just like paying respect and such like that. It's the same of like if you're a newer wrestler, and like a lot of wrestlers want to wrestle for like 15 to 20 minutes, but they can't have a good 7-minute match. Like, don't want what you can't have, like your eyes are bigger than your stomach kind of situation. And like, you need to see, okay, who are the wrestlers that this show books? What do the wrestlers in the main event do? And you need to watch all of that stuff. And it's just like a lot of people don't do that. And I realize that. And I'm like, oh, okay. I now understand why a lot of people were like, that fat kid doesn't deserve what he's getting. But like, I didn't think I deserved anything, especially because it's pro wrestling. Like, my name's underlined. Like, that championship means I'm the employee of the month, which, thank you, it does mean someone appreciates the hard work. But there's some other reasons for championships and my mentality towards some promoters that doesn't need to be on the first episode of my interview here.
Well, so take me back then. You clearly did become a wrestler, and you did have a career that you took a break from, and you came back from now. But let's go back to the beginning. You start that training, and you went in with the mentality, perhaps, that you just wanted to have one match.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through training and the journey to that first match that wasn't just one match.
So I started training at Squared Circle February 2014. I do like a solid 2 months there, and then just life happened. I got stuck with other stuff. I maybe took about like 6 weeks off. And then they're closing in August. So I'm like, oh no, I got to go back. But then I enjoyed it so much. And when it was like, I have a theory. It's not a rule. I have a lot of theories. But one of my theories is if you have a wrestling school that's convenient for you, you're starting off not working hard. And it's not that like you won't work hard, but you're not going to appreciate it as much. But like if you need to travel like an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, that's when you start like yearning for that stuff. Like there's a difference between going to a pub at like 5 or 3 in the afternoon and like it's not busy, you have a server, it's all going, and then going to a pub at like 10:30 on a Friday and you have to start ordering your drinks 2 at a time because you don't know when the next time you're going to be able to get that second drink. And like that's where it kind of falls in. So like Squared Circle closes, but luckily there's a school in Kitchener, Crossbody, that opens, and they were just doing like open ring for experienced wrestlers over that summer. And then they decided to open, and I was technically the first student, but there was another kid there that started like the next day after me. and he had no experience at all. I at least had some sort of foundation, and yeah, that opens up, and it forces me to drive from Brampton to Kitchener 3 to 4 times a week. Sorry, 2 to 3 times a week. And like I literally just got my G2 basically. So like I learned how to drive in the winter from Brampton to Kitchener, and like just counting the cars in the ditch on the 401, and it's like 14 one way. And that's where you also learn on the highway that there's 2 lanes in a snowstorm. The going 40 kilometers an hour and possibly behind a truck, or the I don't care about my life, I just want to get home 80 to 100 kilometer lane. Which now that I'm reminding, I'm not going to enjoy driving in February since I'm back in wrestling now.
But those are the sacrifices that you allude to making, right? So
Absolutely.
so how do you get to that first match? You're at crossbody. What's the next step?
So then some of my original trainers from Squared Circle opened up a new school downtown Toronto, because Squared Circle was in North York, and funnily enough, it was across the street from the hospital I was born at. So the joke I always had was like, if I die here, at least I'll go back to the hospital I was born at to be pronounced dead. I think that's a little poetic in there. Uh, but they opened up downtown Toronto, so now I gotta learn how to drive on like the Lakeshore and the QEW. So like I get like every which way of learning how to drive. And so they open up in April, Superkick does, and I get my green light, or they do a student show in August or September, I want to say, and then I get my green light after I have a pre-show match against Easy E Eric Kearney, like November 7th, November 9th, 2015. And I was out like grabbing hot dog condiments and buns for like the food stand at the show, and I come back, and yeah, I haven't told this story in a while. This is a funny experience. I come back and I get told you have a match, and I think it's Mark Wheeler that tells me, and he's like 3 months into training at this point. He's like, oh, you have a match. I'm like, oh, I know, I'm in the Rumble later on. It's like, oh no, you have a match against Easy E in the pre-show. I'm like, oh god. And they moved my gear because I think EC3 was there and he did a seminar. They moved my gear behind the curtain, and I got changed behind the curtain while everyone was like starting to come into the building. And the curtain is literally a singular curtain, like 6 standing bars that like if any of that fell at a certain point, my fat ass and my like front genitals would have been just exposed. And that early on in wrestling, I didn't have proper gear underwear underneath, so like there's a high likelihood it would have just been out. And like I was a fat kid, so my man boobs will be out too. But Easy E and I call the match. We have a great match. They even talked to him, my trainers at the time. How was he? It's like he's good. And I got the weirdest not conditional green light, but the weirdest graduation. Like it's like you did enough work. You're not going to learn more than you know right now. You need to like go experience it. You need to like we need to set you free on the world to see what happens. I'm sure they regretted it like 8 months later, but like it is what it is. I learned, I networked, and then I earned the respect of a lot of wrestlers based on my hard work and effort. But yeah, my green light wasn't like, oh man, you're having terrific match. Like, bro, like, there was like 3 different times that I was definitely like, if I ever go to the WWE and they give me like whatever they do to punish people, I'm now remembering the stuff from the past of like, there's one kid that they put me in training match with, and we had no chemistry together. It just didn't work. And by God, like, oh no, I made the suggestion. Maybe we should take a week or 2 off not having training matches with each other because we're not getting better. Like, if anything, it's getting worse. And it's like, oh, you don't want to work with this guy? I'm like, no, they're just not good. Well, you got to learn how to work with him. And then, yeah, like, so that probably, like, delayed my learning for another 6 weeks. But when I got, like, set free and stuff like that, no one expected me to do anything. But, like, I hit the ground running. I was grinding. The Ontario scene in general appreciated it at the time. And, yeah, it's just that's how it was. Of like, what's funny is I think Stratosphere got the green light at the next show, And because he asked me, he's like, "Oh, congrats for the green light." I'm like, "Yeah, but like I don't know what this actually means because we're still tearing down this and going back to the studio to set the ring back up at 2 a.m. And like I know there's a show tomorrow, but like, and also at least back then, I don't know if trainers are doing it better now. We were never told how to like apply for like promotions or how to reach out or message. We had the like, oh, you ride with your trainer or a more experienced wrestler. They say you can wrestle, and they get. But like, so when I got my graduation, it's like being told, here's a degree in business. Okay, what kind of jobs can I apply for? Oh, figure it out. Go to LinkedIn, maybe. Like, I wasn't even given LinkedIn as an idea. So Stratos tells me, oh, how's it feel? I'm like, I don't know. And then the next month he gets his green light, and I go, oh, congrats. He's like, thanks. I don't know what the this means.
Well, take me through a little bit of your mentality of those early days then, because you clearly had feedback from other people, but despite how it happened, you hit the ground running, you're starting to have matches. Take me through your mentality, the realization that you're actually doing this, the maybe validation that 3 schools and tons of sacrifices actually come to be a thing. Like, how did that early part of your career feel? How did you react to actually getting, bookings?
I didn't like look at sacrifices or anything because I got a pet peeve right now about apparently a lot of people right now are complaining about how hard wrestling is. Because
Okay.
like once again, I watched all these shoot interviews. It's a recent phenomenon that wrestlers as fathers are in their kids' lives, and like FaceTime helps all these things of the modern culture. But like wrestlers of the past were not good husbands and fathers. Ideally, like I've coached different times, and my favorite time slot to coach is like Saturday or Sunday at 9 a.m. Because ideally, at this level, if you have a full time schedule, you would be focused on wrestling, be it like traveling or wrestling traveling, Thursday to Sunday. Like that would be your work week, basically. And your Sunday at 2 p.m. show better be as good as your Friday at 8 p.m. show. And like that's where it's even like, and like not like I don't critique wrestlers on TV because we do the same thing, but they make a lot more money than me, so I'm just gonna shut up. Like a lot of other people don't. But like I do think one of the things that hurt current product is not having a house show. Not having a touring that like, oh, wrestler A and wrestler B are going to wrestle each other on Monday Night Raw, so they can do that show Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They can do that match. They can figure out some fine tune. When Monday comes, it's a clean, crisp match. Let's get in, let's get out. There is a little bit more sloppiness because people aren't working together as much. But then the other thing that I've realized recently, because I was talking to some people, there's a difference between a lot of people now, especially heavyweight Will Ospreay and like years put on him. The reason why Will Ospreay stuff gets over and other people can do the exact same motions that he can do, but it doesn't get as over, is because he's worked in front of crowds all over the world and he's tried out different sequences, different things at different points. He knows what works and knows what doesn't work. Whereas other people are going to be like, well, Will Ospreay did this, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't get that connection with the crowd because they don't know. It's the artists that can songwrite and they're playing the instrument and they're singing it versus the singer that's just given the sheet lyrics and such like that. Like there's just a little bit of soul that's missing. And so like I got into that grind so hard and I luckily shout out Tarek, Young Miles, Brent Banks, Jade Chung, Anthony Kingdom James, Shane Saber, and then later on Josh Alexander for being guys that like they looked out for me of when if I screwed up, they would tell me what I screwed up on, either in the ring or outside of the ring. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people think, like, I got a theory that if you're in a car traveling, all the people shouldn't be at the same experience level. You should either be riding with younger people or riding with more experienced people than you, and you're just talking, or you're just riding by yourself. But you're talking about your different stuff because if everyone's at the same level, no matter how green or how great, you're all at the same thing. So there is no balance to that scale. It is just that one thing. But when you have like a Brent Banks or Josh Alexander in the car, you're like, yeah, I'm definitely not that good. Like I remember there was one time that one of my trainers at some point was like, you know, these people aren't your friends or whatever. Because a lot of people go, well, I'm friends with this person, so I'm as good as they are. And I need to come to terms with I'm friends with a lot of bad wrestlers that I made believed weren't. And I love them. They're great people. But like you're just missing a few things. But you're a great person, great hang, great drive, great dinner. But there's a reason you had to stay till the very end of the show because I was on last. And now I just love anyone that listens to this to be like, oh, I knew Holden Albright's cocky. It's like, no, it took 12 years of abuse of me not realizing how hard I worked to be like, I'm not cocky. I'm just now realizing, oh, wait, not everyone put in what I put in. And that's, I don't throw that shade on anyone else, but it's true. So I have these whole support systems that would like help me get more and more. And because you're just like in that grind, like I wouldn't even say there was sacrifices because I loved it so much that like that's what was just happening. And then if you do anything, and I say pro wrestling was like my college that taught me what you put in, you get out, but it's not like a one for one kind of thing because that teaches you like what you need from the universe and such like that. And like I'm not religious, but I kind of now believe in karma in the universe and like don't do good things because you want good things to happen to you. But if you do a lot of good things, more likely than not, good things will happen to you.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about some good things. 12-year career. If I was to ask you to reflect back on it, what are some of the most immediate highlights that come to mind?
My world heavyweight run from August 2018 to technically it's February like 2022, but like what I hated, a lot of gripes. The Outlaw Holden Albright is just tired and annoyed. I'm embracing middle age. Not bitter, just annoyed. Like I love all this. I love the new guys in wrestling. But like if someone's a shithead, I'm gonna tell them they're shit. I've been told this. This is a Yelp review of Brendan Caulfield using my real name. I'm a dick because I'll tell people the criticism they don't want to hear. To which I hear that and I go, oh, they're just not like strong enough to deal with it. Versus my self worth is so low, I accept criticism easier than compliments. So like, oh, you think I'm a dick? Cool. I respect wrestling so much. I just want it to be good. But like because oh man, there's one story I know of a guy that like literally cried in a locker room because he wanted to hold a championship for one more show because there were monthly shows in Hamilton. This is like I don't even know if I had my green light at the time, so this is like a decade plus ago. But he cried because he's like, I want to hold the title for a full year, and like legitimately in a locker room at an indie show in Hamilton. Like, he's the one guy I don't like legitimately. But for so when the pandemic happens, I just defended the title on the last show against Speedball Mike Bailey. And like a week and a half after the lockdown start, I'm supposed to defend it against Gabriel Fuerza. Spoiler alert, he was gonna win the title. I held the title though at that point for the February show I defended it was like the symbolic 1 year, but like within 5 days of that was 1 year of me holding that championship. And what Crossbody did in 2019 was introduce a showcase show and did a whole bunch of like these smaller shows. And because I just loved wrestling so much, I don't think, and I got this from Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor, of like the commentary team would say, there's champions that try to survive and like retain their championship, and then there's champions that like defend and fight for their championship kind of style. And I'm more proud of like I kept the title for over a year before the pandemic and lockdowns, but I defended it the most. And then shows come back late 2021-ish, and we're doing a few shows, get shut down again. Then me and Fuerza finally have our match. 2 out of 3 falls. We go like 62 minutes. And it's like a grade of just like passing the torch. And 100%, you can censor this if you want. The reason I wanted to go 60 plus minutes was to Josh Alexander is someone me and Fuerza both look up to, but it was also a you to anyone that thought like, oh, these younger guys can't have long matches or whatever. And I loved like old indie wrestling 2 out of 3 falls matches where like Chris Hero and CM Punk went like 95 minutes once at IWA Mid South. So like when I pitched let's go 2 out of 3 falls, I won the championship against Josh in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Let's go 60 minutes, but a lot of people will say Iron Man matches are boring because you kind of know like nothing exciting happens till the last 15 to 10 minutes. And like it is exciting, but when you sit in and like AEW's done it great of like this match has a 60-minute time limit, whatever, 30, and you don't know how long it's going to go. So you're just watching this match and they're like, oh my God, it's been 40 minutes and this is still incredible. And like that. So, and my cheat code for the 2 out of 3 falls match is like, let's go 2 falls, let's have a count out, and then we need sudden death of this match is technically 2 years in the making. So let's go no disqualification. So that the fans that are watching us wrestle for an hour, they have multiple matches that they're getting. And we planned it that way of like, this segment's this way, this segment's this way, this segment's this way. And then you get a hardcore match that you didn't expect for the actual main event. And I was so proud of that. And like, this is also the other thing now of like, I take credit of, I would look at myself as like, oh, I'm not in the best shape or I'm fat or whatever. But like, it never held me back of like wrestling for 60 minutes, but also like my brain and what I'm back in wrestling with the mentality of, I used to have the mentality of anyone could take my ideas. Go ahead. I don't care because you don't have the heart or soul that came up with that. So whatever. But now I'm in my early 30s, I'm firmly middle-aged, and I look at it and I saw too many of my babies being miscarried or aborted. And instead of now going, oh yeah, you could take my idea, whatever, I'm like, I'm going to tell people, it's like, hey, you could try that, but you're probably going to fail. And that's what I mean when people are like, well, he's a dick. And it's like, no, I just know you don't. I don't know how to cook that well. I just started cooking recently. Like on, I've been using an air fryer for a few years, but I'm now using a pan and the stove and making ground beef proper and I just chicken breast and broccoli. And like, when you cook your own food and like you actually cook it, you throw some soy sauce in the rice. Still using a rice cooker for that, but why not? That's what it's for. Why would I not use a rice cooker to cook rice? Super simple. But like it, because I was talking about this to someone the other day of like, if you buy a store-bought lasagna or you make lasagna, no matter if it's not that good, but knowing that you made it or you use like the cheese you wanted and you put the meat you wanted, it does taste better. So now I'm just like, yeah, there's a lot of things in my life where I said I've been successful enough. I've done a lot of things. I stopped myself from doing some things or promoting things a certain way because I knew that there's a lot of other people that said, I wish I could do that, or you're so lucky you get to do that. And it's like, no, I do that because I sleep 3 hours a day. I do that because I nap. Like, it's not the you're lucky. It's the I see more 2 a.m.s than I see 12 p.m.s. Like, that's where it is. And, like, that's, I love the line of luck is when opportunity meets preparation kind of stuff. And, like, you miss 1,000 of the every shot you don't take kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, but sorry, going back to, so I was real proud about my crossbody run because I got to wrestle a lot of people and got to tell some good stories in there. It started off with a good story and I wasn't supposed to be the person chosen. It's, and I used to say this a lot. There was a time in Ontario that was, in case of emergency, break glass for Holden Albright. Someone bails on your show, Brendan will come. There's a snowstorm, Albright will be here. Like, he will. Oh, your ring and Sarnia's ropes are screwed up, so you're borrowing the ropes from Barry, and Brendan's wrestling that show in Barry. He can drive. I don't even know if I was on the show. I hope I got paid a little extra back for taking from Sarnia to Barry. But like the fact that like I look now and go, it's more likely than not I was taken advantage of. And I'm not like, screw these people. I am F these people in my mind. And the way I'm doing it is I just don't say their goddamn names. They don't exist. My buddy Anthony Kingdom James on his story the other day posted, the best revenge is when you forget someone's name. And I'm like, yeah, trying to get there. There's a couple, haven't gotten there yet, but I'm hopeful 5 years from now.
So you are definitely all over the place. You do a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. Tell me a little bit about some of your side projects. You mentioned the stand-up comedy. I know you do GTA Wire with Van Landen. Tell me a little bit about something that you do outside of the ring.
So it's real funny that you say like preparation of like, so I was reflecting recently of like what I did in wrestling was like, I would always plan for like the beginning of next year of like what I want my schedule to look at. Maybe I'll get a different job so it can fit this schedule and blah 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 blah. And like it never happened, but like the intention was there. And like I feel like a lot of my planning is more like manifesting an intention of like if you show up, you're more likely for something to happen. So for GTA Wire specifically, I'm listening to a bunch of podcasts, late 2000s, early 2010s. And I'm like, I can do this. I look up how to do it. I registered GTAWire.com March 2nd, 2012. We don't have a podcast until June. And the podcast we started in June was not the podcast we were going to do in January. And then there's like 5 different iterations of that over the next 14 years. And now there's a bunch of other shows that are under it. But then what I even realized, and this is where it goes into like the borderline bitterment of because of my self worth and like value issues, I never think someone can like me if I can't provide for them. So like I am like, oh, I need to be the one that drives. I need to be the one that pays for whatever and whatever. And like the debts ruined me. Where at this point I'm like, yeah, I can't do it. If you like me, cool. If you don't like me, thank you. Please tell me or block me so I know not to put that energy either financially or like mentally in your favor. Let me just write you off and not be on this tally list. So then what happened though was I did like 4 or 5 iterations with other people and everyone kept bailing because they didn't see the vision. And like all of my vision for entertainment is for that to be my job. Like I'm not trying to become a millionaire. I'm not trying to become famous. I'm trying to make like $100,000 a year doing something I love. I want to be like mid to low level mid entertainer talent. And what happens though is like everyone had fun doing it, but they didn't see the vision. And when you don't see the vision, it makes like getting up harder. It makes all of that. That's why like a lot of relationships fail. It's because how you guys were in the honeymoon period or the first dates, instead of evolving and changing, just stops being in love. And then that's why it falls apart. So then I'm like, screw it. I'm doing a solo podcast now. I also just started doing a character that was like this sociopath serial killer, and I didn't want to Heath Ledger myself. So I started a podcast called This is Brendan. That went about 200 episodes between 2018 to 2022. And yeah, I love talking to people of seeing how they see the world, which helps me. And I realize this of it's a little negative, but there's someone I had a falling out with, and I realized the difference of the ideology we have. I learn from people's actual experiences. They assume they know what someone's experience is. There's 8 billion people in the world now. There's no way you know everyone's experience. We all live in the same world, but we don't live in the same reality. And when you like realize that sort of thing, you realize like you look at things differently. Like I have a friend, she's allergic to sesame. I didn't know how much sesame seed oil there is, how much sesame seed things there are until like you hang out with her. And if you're at a pizza place, you have to ask the pizza place, is there sesame oil or whatever? And like that's a reality I don't live in. I every now and then I forget, but then I'll work with someone that wears glasses, and then 2 things happen. One, I don't call them a nerd or 4 eyes for the record. Like I'm not bullying them, but what happens is I go, wow, I'm glad I don't have glasses because I don't have those expenses. I don't have to worry about that. But then the other part is I do feel like if we were in Neanderthal times, I would be better suited than this farsighted bro. So like a lot of people just didn't see the vision, and that's when I did it. And then with stand up, I did a little bit of it super early when I was like 19, and I had no life experience. And I went up first on an open mic, and I even messaged the guy afterwards because he was like, "Okay, that wasn't the best." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my first time doing it." It's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I should at least put you third or fourth so that the crowd would be like awake." And then I just pursued wrestling. And the great thing about wrestling is you're not alone up there, and you get to, if the fans are quiet, I can do a body slam, and that will make a big enough noise to get them alert. If the fans dismiss you in stand up comedy, you hope that person comes back, but you have to be like, I got 3 more minutes. It's okay. I lost him. I still got a couple over here, and there's only 3 people in the room, so I'm still got 66% of it. But then after my dad died, I have no idea why, but I just started doing stand up, and I loved that stand up and wrestling were things that were always present throughout my life. And the gratitude I have that my darkest days growing up, I could find stand up, I could find wrestling. I now get to provide that for other people on their darkest days and give that back to that entertainment. I never even put podcasting into that, but I was listening to podcasts in 2008 and such of like, yeah, that the podcast was this weird middle ground between wrestling and stand up. And like I just like I didn't know it until right now apparently while I'm thinking about it, but like it was this weird out of love and passion, and it was a way to give back to the universe that like I took in to save me. Wow, that went a little too deep.
That's okay. That's okay.
Cool though. It's
Uh,
cool. It's cool.
let's jump back into wrestling for a couple more questions before we close out. First one is probably a little too basic, but it's kind of like wrestling interview 101. Who is the dream opponent?
So talk about too deep a little like before I did hallucinogenics, I was thinking about this. So now that I'm a fan of them, it's like, yeah, there's a lot more of it. I always say, whenever I would get this question, I would always say, my next opponent's my dream opponent, because my dream was to be a wrestler, and I can't wrestle without my opponent. But in all honesty, I need to wrestle Eddie Kingston. I need to wrestle Tomohiro Ishii. I don't know if I'll ever be in a position to wrestle Josh Alexander again, but it'd be real cool to get a chance to do that again. Especially I have like the built-in storyline of I wasn't your student, you weren't my coach, you weren't my trainer, you were my abuser. Because the way I learned wrestling and how to wrestle the style I wrestle was Josh Alexander beating the shit out of me in front of live audiences for like 2 years. So it's like this great story of like it's the student versus teacher. It's like no, it's like I learned from him, but he created this monster as my abuser kind of thing. So I think that would be cool. And like to be honest, I've got 5 years left before I don't care about this. Like if I get a contract in that 5 years, I'm not going to be like, well, I can only do 6 months on this contract because I told myself 5 years ago that I'm done. But like, I'm just trying to. A lot of people like to say, leave it better than you found it. I'm trying to make it better. And then when I leave, and what I loved is when I took the time off, there were people, especially promoters, that knew I was taking a break. I didn't know how long. I thought I at least gave myself a calendar year. My last match was like January 20th. I'm like, I won't wrestle till January. And then January's coming around. There's a few promoters that I didn't reach out to at the moment. People were asking me. And then also the other part was I wasn't the selfish one saying, oh, I can't wait to come back or whatever. It's like, no, I'm not wrestling. It's off. I went to some shows to hang out, to check it out. I still loved it. I didn't hate it. I needed to process my own feelings and find what Brendan wanted, because I was also told, you're a lifer. This is what you're going to do. And I did it, but now I needed actual control in my life. So I'm like, okay, let me see. And I didn't make a big deal about it. I just quietly took a break. And then now, like, fans wanted me to come back. Other wrestlers are excited about me coming back. Promoters love having me of, I'm not going to be your MVP on your team because I'm going to score the most. I'm going to be one of the best players on your team because when you tell us to run or jump, I'm going to point out, well, we can't run that direction because there's a wall. And if it's not a good promoter that goes, well, screw the wall, just run through it, but like, oh, sorry, run up until and then jump. Like I'm a very good collaborative, and I'll be the great soldier for you. But I also realize my personality's sandpaper. And a lot of people don't like sandpaper. But you want to know what? You want to sit on a chair, you want to sit at a dinner table, you got to get some sandpaper on that wood real quick. So all of that, and like I guess like my dream for wrestling of like goal wise though is to just make it better. And the benefit of being where I am, that if I get blackballed or whatever, of like, yeah, I'm in a position that I don't care. And it's like not a Kendrick Lamar line. It's a Childish Gambino line. It's like, because I'm gifted in this and another field and another field and another field, I don't need pro wrestling to be my look at me self-centered kind of thing. It's like, no, like ideally I want to be behind the scenes. Like if I get a contract in wrestling, I want to be behind the scenes. I don't want to be taking the bumps. I don't want to be doing whatever, but I'd love helping someone get a little better or see things a little differently. And yeah, sorry, but yeah, my dream opponent spiritually, it's whoever the next one is, because it's my dream. Realistic, Eddie Kingston, Josh Alexander, Tomohiro Ishii.
So I do love that you mentioned that wanting to be behind the scenes and helping somebody get it, because my last question is the same for everybody, and it really plays into that. You have a chance to go back and talk to a young version of yourself or another wrestler who is just on the fence about getting into wrestling. What piece of advice are you giving them?
Just fucking do it. It's as simple as that. Like, no matter what it is in life, just do it, because when you fail, because you will never not fail. And if you, I like the line that's, if you never fail, you never actually learn. You learn from losses, not wins. And anything in life, if you like that classmate, ask them out. If they say no, cool. Don't get miserable against the opposite sex and drive a van on the sidewalk. Don't do that. But like, it builds up your character. Be like, okay, I made it through this. Now I'll find the next thing. Okay, I made it through this. I'll find the next thing. I was like, we don't know when we're going to die. There is no promise of tomorrow. Like, I got a weird rule. I don't think you should say someone died young if they died past 25. Because there's like 2-year-olds that die with cancer and such like that. And a shot glass, a pint glass, a pitcher can all hold liquid. We just don't know what kind of glass we have until it's at the end of the day. So if you don't know that, just do it. If you have the thought, like some people have rules for tattoos that they need to think about it for 2 years, and if they still want to go get it. Some people have a rule with a tattoo that's like, oh, I got a buddy that has time at 3 p.m. and it's 12 right now. Let me go get this. There's nothing wrong with either one of those, but there is a little bit of sadness on if you pass away before those 2 years. 3 p.m. is guaranteed. 2 years isn't. And then, of course, you could get run over going to the appointment at 3 p.m. Hopefully you survive. You get a cool story out of it. Got hit by a bus.
All right. So before we sign out, can you just let everybody know once again who you are and maybe some of the places they can find you online?
My name is Brendan Caulfield. I am not an admitted alcoholic. Oh, sorry. That's my 7 p.m. meeting. Sorry. The virtual chats. I always get them confused. Which one's therapy? Which one's an anonymous meeting? My professional wrestling moniker is the Outlaw Holden Albright. I am an entertainer under Brendan Caulfield. I do podcasting, a whole bunch of stuff. Just follow at Holden Pro on Twitter, Instagram, and patreon.com/Brendan C. Hard relaunch very soon. I've been saying that for a very long time, but some fun projects coming up. I'm trying to figure out Twitch. I'm trying to figure out stuff. So Instagram is where I'm most active, at Holden Pro.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this.
Love you, buddy. It's always a great chat. Like, this is the first time we've recorded.
Thank you for tuning in to Independent Wrestling Profiles. Please help out the show if you can with a like, subscription, or review. We'll see you next time.